Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
It is no surprise to see Prime Minister Narendra Modi on your TV screens giving a speech or holding forth on anything. But this Monday, that is yesterday as I record, was unusual because you saw him addressing an electronic or a virtual gathering of non-aligned movement. Now that is an organization, an acronym that we've gradually been forgetting about for the last many years. In fact, last 2 years, the Prime Minister had completely ignored, overlooked non-aligned movement, sending other people to represent him. Because non-aligned movement, in any case, has lost its relevance after the Cold War. It became a unipolar world, and now it is some kind of a bipolar world between China and America. But non-aligned movement, which was set up essentially as an anti-American grouping more than 50 years ago, almost 60 years ago, has now lost all meaning. And if you look at this grouping, you will know what I am saying. And we had in fact hailed and praised Prime Minister Modi for having formalized it, for having moved away from this, because it was a waste of time, plus it does not suit India's current international profile and stature. Look at the non-aligned movement as it exists today and as it was set up. When it was set up 60 years ago, it was Nehru, Jamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt and Marshal Joseph Broz Tito of Yugoslavia. These were three big post-colonization leaders. Two of them were dictators, that is Tito and Nasser. Nehru was a Democrat. That they got together was hailed as a big new thing in the world because Cold War was going on. But it was quite evident that most members of the non-aligned movement were more favorably inclined towards the Soviet bloc. Don't forget that Cuba has always been one of the stronger members of non-aligned movement. So what is our Prime Minister now doing, holding forth in front of these non-aligned nations? And what are these non-aligned nations? So please look at this list of 120 and you will figure out, I'm so sorry to say this, that this looks like a gathering of the losers. And a gathering of the losers in which India does not belong, and also how many of these countries are truly non-aligned even now in a unipolar world or a partly bipolar world or in not particularly a poleless world. You can see that. Look at the current chairman. The current chairman is Azerbaijan, its leader Ilham Aliyev. He's been there for almost 17 years. He wins elections with 87, 88%, that kind of votes. You know what that means. He has made his country, besides everything else, a kind of associate of NATO. So in 2014, he partnered with NATO. He signed up on what is called as Individual Partnership Action Plan. He's been visiting NATO summits. He's been helping NATO. He also sent his troops in Afghanistan. Now, he represents, Azerbaijan has the current presidency. And you want to know who are the other great leaders of the world with great moral authority who've been the chairs of non-aligned movement in the last many years? I will just go back until we come to one decent name, but here we are. So Ilham Aliyev now. Before that, hold your breath, Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. You see the state Venezuela is in. Before that, Hassan Rouhani and Ahmadinejad. Iran was the chair. Before that, even better, it gets even more fun, Mohammad Morsi of Egypt. Before that, Hosni Mubarak, dictator of Egypt, a third successor after Nasser, who spent his time in jail in his old age, was hated, was overthrown after Tahrir Square and died in infamy. Before that, Raul Castro. I know Castro is still loved by many people in India, except the Sheikh left. Before Raul Castro, obviously Fidel Castro. Before that, Abdullah Badawi and Mahathir. You have to go that far back for chairpersons of NAM to come to a decent man like Thabo Mbeki and Nelson Mandela, because South Africa had the presidency then. So that is the kind of organization this has been reduced to over the past 20, 30 years since the end of the Cold War. Why this organization is there? Ask me or research yourself. Why this organization is there? I think Mr. Modi had answered that question last couple of years by ignoring this organization or by downgrading its importance. Because what kind of an organization can be non-aligned if its current chair is a NATO partner, not a NATO member, but a NATO partner? Its biggest member, that is India, proudly pronounces itself as a natural strategic ally of the United States of America. 3 Indian Prime Ministers have said so now. Vajpayee, Manmohan Singh and Narendra Modi, and several American presidents. That is Clinton, Bush Jr., Obama, Donald Trump. So, all right, every country has a right to some hypocrisy. Now that's that. How is Pakistan a non-aligned nation? Pakistan is partly a stalwart ally in America's fight war against terror and essentially a Chinese client state. What kind of nonsense is this that you build a non-aligned movement where China has an observer status? So what are the alignments in this world? Who are you non-aligned with? You are almost all are allies of America in this. Almost all are pals, if not client states of China in this. And then you call this movement non-aligned. That's why I call it the class of the losers. And I don't know what India is doing there. India is now a member of the G20. Those are the big powerful economies and nations. It's true that a few other G20 members are members in non-aligned movement, but who are these? South Africa, Indonesia, right? Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia non-aligned. I mean, if you believe that, then you've been drinking something either in the black market or if you live in Delhi after paying a lot of it after paying 70% extra excise charge by Arvind Kejriwal. Saudi Arabia as a non-aligned nation. So this is now an anachronism. And I would have thought that India had walked away from this, but for some reason, Narendra Modi government also seems to have a fatal attraction for this Nehruvian, Indira Gandhi left globalist past. And that's the reason, instead of either denying it or repudiating it or moving away from it, they keep succumbing back to it. In fact, if they drive around Delhi, and if you drive around Delhi, you will know what I mean. And why do I say drive around Delhi? Because Delhi was a city, it was our capital city. It was cast in the image of the Cold War as an anti-Western model. The entire city of Delhi, there is almost nothing named after a Westerner. There are some things named after Russians. There is Copernicus, the astronomer. There is Tolstoy, the writer. The only Western name I find is a Sanskritist, that is Max Muller. Americans, is there anything named after an American country with which we've now been natural strategic allies for more than 2 decades? Nothing. In fact, in my searches all over the city, I have also been a reporter on a motorbike in this city. I have looked at the street maps of Delhi. I only find one street named after an American. It's maybe 300-meter street or 400-meter street. Named after, it's a street going into Delhi's India International Center. Named after who? Named after the architect who designed India International Center, that is Joseph Stein. So that is the kind of situation you have. We were a Cold War country. We were a Cold War country on one side of the Cold War, although the pretense was non-aligned. For some time, that non-alignment was more pristine while Nehru was there, but as time passed, it became more and more an anti-American grouping. We belonged there. Until the Cold War, it was understandable because you needed to rebalance the world in some way. But after the Cold War, the very fact that non-aligned movement continues as an organization, it only tells you that far too many heads of states in these loser nations, unfortunately, are underemployed. They just need forums to speak at and to hold forth. I am frankly surprised that Prime Minister Narendra Modi today, given India's preeminent position in the world, should bother to spend so much time on this. Now, I don't say these things lightly. I will take you for a little ride around Delhi if you want. I live in Delhi, in Safdarjung area, couple of 100 yards from a broad avenue, a part of Delhi's outer ring road, which is one of the broadest and most important avenues around Delhi, not Lutyens Delhi. That part is called Jamal Abdul Nasir Marg. So go to Egypt and find me something named after Jamal Abdul Nasir. Now, Jamal Abdul Nasir and his legacy were all thrown out after Tahrir Square. That country has repudiated it. We are honoring it. You go driving on that road, you go past Panchsheel, the colony, and then that avenue is intersected by another major avenue. That is the Joseph Broz Tito Marg. Now, once again, go back to former Yugoslavia, which obviously broke up into many republics. There is very little named after Joseph Broz Tito. In fact, most things that were named after Tito, most names were changed. So Montenegro, its capital was Titograd. They renamed it. They restored the old name Podgorica. There was a city of Titovo Uzice. It just became Uzice. In fact, most places which had just had Titovo added to them had that taken off. In Croatia, in his birthplace, that is Kumrovec, his statue has been vandalized and destroyed many times and restored because he became so unpopular for his denial of human rights and terrible things also that he did. He did remarkable things fighting the fascists, but later, like many other communist leaders, he did become a very rough dictator. In Slovenia, former Yugoslavia, a part of that, Parliament has ruled that while they may not change existing names because people were changing everything, but to name anything after Tito going ahead would be unconstitutional. Why? Because they said while he represents the history of liberation from fascists, he also is responsible for grave violation of human rights and basic freedoms. Then you come towards Chanakyapuri. Once again, I might be digressing a little bit, but give me a little leeway. Chanakyapuri in Nehru's times was named after, obviously, Chanakya, the great Indian diplomat, philosopher, ruler, but essentially the top bureaucrat in Chandragupta's empire. The whole area is named after Chanakya. Another major avenue is named after Kautilya Marg. There's a relatively a tinier lane named after Chandragupta Maurya, the sovereign. So, unkind view of this might be that, oh, Chanakya was a Brahmin of the highest order and Chandragupta was, after all, just a Kushwaha. So, that's what he deserves. But I think the message is more important. The message is that this law had been laid down very early on by Nehru and his kind of sort of socialist system, that in this city, Lutyens Delhi, bureaucrats were going to hold the real power, not the sovereigns. So that carries on. So that was a digression, but let me also tell you what happens. Now, quite beautifully, that circle has nicely named roads coming into it: Shanti Marg, Shanti Path, Dharma Marg, Nyay Marg, Niti Marg, Satya Marg, etc., etc. But then as you go a little deeper, you will find the entire history of revolution there. Not any of our revolutions, but usually the former third world, socialist world, and also it has a very strong Latino, South American flavor to it. So there is something named after Simon Bolivar. You can understand he was a great liberator of Latin America, South America. But there is something named after, a street named after Ghanaian dictator Kwame Nkrumah. Go Google him. Kwame Nkrumah named himself the Great Redeemer. He said, no capitalism, because capitalism is not a system that a new democracy can afford. That's Ghana. He ruined Ghana for many decades. 1966 he was thrown out. For almost 40-45 years after that, The country had instability, multiple coups. Finally, it has some kind of a democracy. I don't know how much he is honored in Ghana now, but in Delhi, we have an avenue in Chanakyapuri named after him, which has the embassies of great democracies like the Netherlands, Italy, and Canada located on it. So think of contradictions which come to us from our non-aligned past. Then you carry on with more revolutionary history. There is something named after the Argentinian general who died in 1850, General Jose St. Martin. There is a St. Martin Mark. There is something named after national hero of Uruguay. Uruguay, most of you can't point to that country on the map of the world. You might hear that word when that word when the FIFA World Cup comes up and Uruguay qualifies or doesn't qualify. So Uruguay national hero General Jose Artigas, there is something named after him there. Mexican reformer Benito Juarez, he's there. From the Philippines, Jose Rizal, who died in 1896, whose death set off a revolution. There is, and then the Turks do very well. Kemal Atatürk, the important road connecting the RCR, Racecourse Road or Lok Kalyan Marg circle to Chanakyapuri, to Kautilya Marg, is named after Kemal Atatürk. You know how friendly Turkey is to India. There is also something named after Turgut Özal, also Turk. There is a nice road named after Archbishop Makarios, but I believe that was a reciprocal thing of Cyprus, because Cyprus, he decided to name something after, I think, Indira Gandhi or Nehru in Cyprus. So this was a bilateral thing. There is an Ulaanbaatar Marg as you come out of Delhi airport. Why Ulaanbaatar, capital of Mongolia? I don't know, unless there also there was a bilateral deal of them naming something after. Many of these things were named bilaterally in exchange for something being named after either Mahatma Gandhi or Indira Gandhi or Nehru, etc., etc. But when you look at all of Delhi, and I'm not losing my way, if I look at all of Delhi, Delhi was defined as a non-aligned movement city. And that we must not forget. The times have changed. We have to move on. On the other hand, now we have even Narendra Modi perpetuating it. So in all of Delhi, only I told you about people from the West. I deliberately did not mention one. And that is Olof Palme, the former Prime Minister of Sweden. There is a major avenue on the outer ring road named after him. And why do I mention it in particular? Because it was under his prime ministership and under his leadership that the Bofors scam took place. And he and his government never told us who they gave bribes to. And Bofors was made by a company that was owned by his government. And what have we done? We've honored his memory by naming a major avenue after him. And I think most people who pass by, particularly today's generation, don't even know who that is. But look at the other fact. No American has anything named after him anywhere in Delhi. No Lincoln, no Martin Luther King, who came to India in 1959, no Kennedy, no Einstein, no Charlie Chaplin, no Donald Duck, no Mickey Mouse, no Michael Jackson, nothing. It's as if a country where we claim to be a strategic natural ally did not exist. Then you can go on and we can talk in more detail, but this is not the time. Our city, capital city, honors almost no Indian scientist. I found something named after Jagdish Chandra Bose in this sort of institutional clump behind IIT, but nothing after C.V. Raman. C.V. Raman is a tiny street in New Friends Colony. Baba, Srinivas Ramanujan, Pandit Ravi Shankar, Bismillah Khan, Bhimsen Joshi, Rukmani Devi Arundel, M.F. Hussain, Morarji Desai, P.V. Narasimha Rao, JP, there's a hospital named after him. JP, Mumbai does much better than that. So, once again, this is time, 30 years after the Cold War ended. This is time for India to get out of the non-aligned movement mindset. This is a lazy, wasteful nostalgia, and it's very regrettable now that even Narendra Modi is falling into that trap.